Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're pouring cold water on a situation. It is the idea that I've seen in some of the comment sections of my video that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should trade for star edge rusher of the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons. Now, this theory that the Bucs should do that, this idea that the Bucs should do that, comes from the fact that Micah Parsons has requested a trade out of Dallas from the Cowboys. He has been unhappy with how Jerry Jones and the Cowboys have been negotiating, or I guess I should say not negotiating, with Parsons' agent, and a trade request has formally been made. Now, this has led a lot of people to say, hey, get on the phone, Jason Light. What are the Bucs doing here, right? And look, it is understandable to see why people want Micah Parsons on the Buccaneers, okay? Anybody in the NFL would want Micah Parsons on their football team. You'd be absolutely crazy to not want a player of Micah Parsons' caliber, right? I mean, he's only 26 years old, guys, and he's a four-time Pro Bowler, two-time All-Pro, Defensive Rookie of the Year, literally has never had a season below 12 sacks in his career. The dude's an absolute maniac. He's going to break all sorts of records for whatever contract he is going to get here going forward, right? But with that much production, you gotta figure, yeah, the team that already has him, the Dallas Cowboys, is not even going to consider his trade request and look to trade Parsons going forward unless it was a literal franchise-altering deal for the Cowboys, because that is the level of impact that Micah Parsons has to a football team, be it adding him or be it losing him. That is the level of impact that Parsons brings to a franchise. He can either be your savior if you get him or your doom if you lose him, right? So there was a really interesting article that was written here from Ralph Vasciano here, where, quote, from an NFL personnel executive, you're talking about the best, most consistent defensive player in the game. I'm not arguing that. And it's possible he hasn't approached his ceiling yet, especially as a pass rusher. That's got to be worth a couple of first-round picks, maybe more. Now, whether or not you would or wouldn't, you individually watching this video would or wouldn't trade multiple first-round picks for Micah Parsons is a completely subjective thing. You could poll 100 people and 50 would say yes, 50 would say no, or some combination, right? But ultimately, it doesn't matter to us. And I know that there are plenty of people out there who would say, dude, give up the picks, it's Micah Parsons, right? But you need to ask not that question of would you trade multiple first-round picks for Micah Parsons, maybe and probably more, but would the Bucs trade multiple first-round picks for Micah Parsons, maybe more? Not even asking whether or not they should or shouldn't. Again, that is another subjective question, but whether you actually do believe whether or not they would or wouldn't do that. In my opinion, there's no way the Bucs would offer multiple first-round picks for Micah Parsons, again, even if he was available, which I give it like a less than 1% chance of him actually being available on a trade market, right? But even if you do get to a phone call saying, hey, we want Micah Parsons, and the Cowboys say, fine, what's your offer? Do you really believe in your heart of hearts that Jason Light, who covets his draft picks, who is pretty darn good at drafting most of the time, he's had some big flubs here and there, but do you really believe that Jason Light would be willing to give up that many, not just high-tier draft picks, the top value of draft picks, your first rounders, right? I don't think so. I don't even think it is a question as to whether or not Jason Light would give up those draft picks, because I just don't see it. I simply do not see it. If he was a general manager who was in absolute desperation mode, saying, I've got to do whatever I can to immediately alter the course of this franchise, otherwise I am going to get fired, and again, Dallas was willing to make a move like that, you know what? Maybe you could see a scenario like that. But Jason Light is not under a huge amount of pressure, so to speak. He's been good at his job. And there's absolutely, again, no scenario that I see where Jason Light would be willing to give up those draft picks. Even if you do want to make the argument of like, hey, they're pushing for a Super Bowl and things like that. Again, you cannot look at it in terms, because again, you've got to pay Micah Parsons, right? And if you're paying Micah Parsons, are you going to be able to pay Baker Mayfield? Are you going to be able to pay Mike Evans? Are you going to be able to pay Vita Vea and all these other guys that are going to need money as well? Not likely, right? So you can't think about it in a, let's say, a Madden setting is the old phrase, right? Where it's like, hey, just load up for one crazy Super Bowl run this upcoming year and then go ahead, right? You've got to play a long-term game whenever you're thinking as an NFL general manager, and giving up 3 first-round draft picks for Micah Parsons is not doing that, in my opinion. So it's not going to happen, folks. It really isn't. But I would be curious to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions about this. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? If so, why do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts and opinions about it down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.